Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Authentic and Unaltered. With me today is Chris, Chris from Missouri. Welcome, Chris.
Well, I got to say one thing. It's about time. I've been begging you. I think I probably tried to bribe you with some money and stuff, but really excited to be on. So thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm glad to have you, and you actually made it this time. You weren't out buying baseball bats today, so
Okay. My priorities were a little out of whack, so they're
yeah,
back.
clearly
They're
more
back.
important than a bunch of autographed baseball bats. Come on. So
True.
all right. I assume if anyone is watching me, they're well familiar with Chris after, his appearances on that other guy's channel, especially got him a little recognition. That little channel, Baseball Collector, and all that. So
Never heard of him.
yeah,
Heard of him.
but if for some reason you're not subscribed to Chris, you ought to. So. But to get us started, Chris, let's take us back in time to Chris as a kid. So, what were the sports you participated in growing up?
Well, a lot. I went to a small school, small high school in Middle Missouri, and I had 30 people in my graduating class, and so I played baseball, basketball, and soccer. And I actually was soccer started my sophomore year in high school, and our basketball coach made everybody play, and I did not want to play. At the time, I thought it was a Russian plot to take over North America, but I played and I enjoyed it and had some success in it. But basketball was my favorite sport. I was better at baseball. So,
Well, I assume that basketball coach wanted you all out there so you'd be in shape for the basketball season, running around that field.
and we were in shape. We weren't in basketball shape, but we were in the best. I mean, we were in great shape, and we and he got. We were good right from the start in our conference. There was 9-team conference, and there was only one team better than us my first year, and they'd been playing soccer for about 7 or 8 years in a different division. But yeah, we were in great shape, that's for sure.
All right. And so then with participating in all these sports, then you started getting into collecting cards as a kid. What was the set that got you started, and or what? How did you start on with baseball cards?
Well, so I say this. I did a video a long time ago. I wish I could redo it, and I might redo the video sometime. But I was a vintage collector right from the start. Uh, I was the poorest kid in the neighborhood, and I was one of the youngest kids in the neighborhood at the time when I started collecting cards and playing in sports and stuff like that. And so I hung around with a pair of brothers, two brothers, Gary and John, and they were baseball card collectors. So I wanted to be like Gary and John, and so I'd cut out pictures. I remember cutting out a Bobby Bonds picture out of a sports magazine, and I glued it on a piece of cardboard. So that would be my first baseball card, that kind of stuff. But they got me started with cards, and then when I turned, I think I was 11 years old, maybe 12. I'll have to, I don't know exactly, but I was started mowing yards in our town even at that young age. And John went on vacation to Germany for the summer. That's where his mom was from. And so he let me mow his yards. And I mowed this lady's yard named Miss Dufresne. And she paid me with vintage baseball cards. I'd mow her yard to get $6. And instead of having her give me $6, she let me reach into her son's collection and grab out handfuls of vintage cards. So at the end of that summer, in my neighborhood, I was kind of the envy of the neighborhood when it came to baseball cards. But and it was about 78, 77, 78 when I first opened my packs. And I didn't open much packs because we just, you know, I was the kind of kid that got his clothes on layaway. We'd go at the start of the summer and put clothes on layaway, and by the time we had them paid for, I was bigger than the clothes. So that, but I was 10 or 11 years old when I started, and I just the first I usually have it out, but the first card that I ever remember having was Eddie Matthews 1954 baseball card, and it's got rubber band because it was so much bigger than the rest of my cards. It's got lines and wrinkles in it, but it's my card, and it's my first one that I ever remember getting. So it'll stay with me forever.
Awesome. And so these were all like 50s cards generally that you were pulling, or?
Well, yeah, and I try to keep track of them now with a sticker on top of with it being yellow. But there actually was some T206 cards in there. There was a lot of everything. It was just 60s and below. It's maybe even like mid 50s and below. And I didn't know what I was pulling out. I didn't ever go through them and just pick and choose. And I don't know. I think I was a pretty well mannered kid because I wouldn't open up my hands like this to get them. I'd be nice and just kind of get a handful and stuff, and whatever I got. So yeah, I wish I could go back and be a little bit more selfish, to tell you the truth.
Or not take the $6 that one
Not
time.
take. Oh man, you talking about a huge financial mistake is when I told her. I'll tell it for your viewers, but when it was about a month or even 2 months in the mowing season, I needed gas for my lawnmower. Needed maybe $1 worth of gas for my lawnmower, and I remember saying to her, "Do you think instead of cards this time, you can pay me $6 for the yard?" And so she got out a check and wrote me $6, and I didn't. She always paid me the rest of the way. And man, I wish, and I didn't have enough guts to say, "Hey, you can start paying me in cards again." Again, some mistakes. I wish I could jump in that time machine and go back and fix.
Oh yeah. And so did you keep continuing on collecting like into high school, or?
So since I was pretty young, when my friends went off to college, and I had a friend named Gary who went off to college, and he gave me his cards, and a different Gary than the first guy I was talking about. But he gave them to me, and he asked me, "You can have these, but I need you." His mom was living by herself when he moved out, and he said, "If you mow mom's yard the rest of the summer, you can have all my cards." And so he just gave me his cards, and I remember a couple of guys out buying their cards when I'm 16, and I collected all through college. I collected, I collected maybe. I was always a collector. I might have stopped buying for about 5 or 6 years because I was a struggling basketball coach that didn't make a lot of money and didn't have a lot of spending money on on my wife and girlfriend and then wife, and but then now I'm starting to lose some of the kids' inheritance because I'm buying cards and but yeah, I've always been a collector though.
Oh, so you barely had a gap, and you just been compiling this whole time then? No.
Well, so it went like this. So when I first got my teaching job in 1989, we didn't get paid until September 20th. And I had to move up there since I was also the girls' softball coach, and they play softball in the fall. I had to move up there August 1st. So I had to have a down payment for the place. I had to pay had to pay rent. I had to get food. I had to pay utilities and all this. Didn't have much money. I spent my money playing softball and fast pitch softball and traveling. So I didn't have anything. So I had to go to the bank and get a loan, and I used my baseball cards as collateral for a loan, and try to do that today with all the regulations, And so in 92, in 92, I stopped buying cards, but I was saving up money for complete sets. My focus kind of shifted, and so I'd get I'd get that year's set, and then an older set that year, and that'd be about all I did. And I would look through my cards and mess with my cards, but I wasn't buying packs anymore, and didn't start buying packs again until probably 2000. And then in 2000 or 2001 or two, I stopped buying packs and then started looking for cards, and but wouldn't pick up like I do now. Now I'll set up at a show and I'll sell my duplicates, and then I'll take every bit of that money and go buy one bigger card. And so my boxes in my room are getting shrinking, but my graded cards are getting bigger. So and I really like the way the direction my collection is going. And 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we were doing some estate planning, and the guy knew me pretty good, and he said, "What the heck are you going to do with all these cards? Your kids aren't going to want them. Your wife's going to, she's going to sell them at a garage sale and get nothing out of them, and there's some value." And he said, "I think you ought to encapsulate your cards." He'd been reading about it, and I said, "I don't want to do that." And my local card shop, when I went down there and I took some cards and showed him, he said, "Man, you got to get these encapsulated." And so I sent them off. I've been sending them off to get grading, and I loved it when it was $8 to get a card graded. Now,
oh yeah,
and I'm still sending stuff off, but I'm sending stuff off 25 at a time to SGC now, and getting them back quicker. But that's still, I'm sending some cards off that are barely worth what it costs to get graded, but it's going to make it easier for my wife to do something with them when I die. And I always say this: if she dies before me, you're looking at the guy that's going to have the best card collection on YouTube, because I'm spending all that money on cards, to drown my sorrows that my wife will be gone. But when I die, it's going to be easier for her to sell them and stuff, and that's kind of where I am on everything.
Yeah. Does she know about this plan of yours if she were to pass first?
Yeah, she's heard me say it before.
Because I just figured it might be a cause for you to suddenly pass first.
It might be.
So, so I know you've got some particular focus areas that you specialize with your collection at, like post-war rookies, and you made a video about the 300 greatest cards. But how long have those types of focuses been present? Or, did you have focuses at all before, or?
Well, no, to answer that in as simple as I can, I've collected Johnny Bench. I'm showing a Johnny Bench here. I've collected a Johnny Bench cards, and I wanted to do all his run. And I've collected George Brett, and I've collected. I say something at the end of my stuff. I always say, collect what you like. I always say that, and I've lived that, really, because I didn't want anybody telling me what I should do. I've gotten this far without taking much advice, through my life and collecting cards. But YouTube ruined it for me. Mike ruined it for me. Ray from Philly ruined it for me. I should charge them for this, but I collected rookie cards. But I was sitting around and and I was typing on the computer, not YouTube, but vintage baseball cards. And my wife's sitting there kind of reading, and she goes, you can look this stuff up on YouTube. There's probably hundreds of channels out there that collect cards. I said, really? And she said, yeah. What do you want me to type in? And I typed in Johnny Bench. Well, it just goes to Johnny Bench stuff. So I said, she said, why don't old cards? She said, why don't I type in old cards? I said, why don't you type in vintage baseball cards? And she typed vintage baseball cards, and on our TV, poof, Ray from Philly. And Ray's been doing this a long time and collecting cards. And Ray's my age. Even though he looks younger, he's my age. And anyway, he got on there and he was talking about collecting the 300 great cards. And then you want me to grab the book? I'll grab the book.
Sure.
Okay, it's probably so. It's 300 great baseball cards written by Mike Payne, and Mike Payne, I think, writes for Beckett. And it's not the 3 greatest cards; it's just 300 great cards. And I said, well, I bet I got half of those. And so, sure enough, my wife sends off for the book. It comes in the mail, and I start going through my cards and picking out here. And I had about 175 of them, 180 of them. But I didn't have some of the hard ones. There's some big cards in there, and so
you're gonna pick up one of those Wagners soon, right?
Oh yeah, and I'll probably buy 2, give Ray one of those, with money I make. But
Cool.
yeah, but anyway, so that just made it. I saw where Mike made it. It was going after the 300 great cards. So I'm watching his channel and watching Ray's channel. And now I have 215 of them. And so I've picked up, 20, 25 cards since started to watch them. And they're not little cards, some of them. Some of them are. You got a
I hear you're a big Kurt Bavacqua fan now. So.
Yeah, I am. And I have a baseball of Kurt Bavacqua too. But, picking up stuff like that, and it's been really fun. And then I started watching. So not only was I watching Ray's channel, but I switch over, and now I'm watching Mike, baseball collector. And he was talking about doing player runs, and then he starts saying that he picked up this card for the Rookie Hall of Fame collection. How do you find out? I mean, I know I look up who was rookies, but then I look up on the set registry, and they have that he goes into, and they have Rookie Hall of Famers, post-war Rookie Hall of Famers, and it's a thing. And I tell my wife, I got 85 of those cards. I got 90 of those cards. I know I do. So I was going through. Now I get the list, and I start checking off that list. Well, now it gets like in your blood. You're like, man, I need that card. And you want me to show a couple of those?
Sure.
So now I have every bit of all 115, all 117, I think. You think I'd know that, but I have every one of them that's on that list. And this one was one of the last ones I picked up. That's a hard card to get.
Yeah.
It's a very hard card to get, but I picked that one up. It's just one of my last ones that I needed. And so then I needed one card of a guy a lot of people don't know is in the Hall of Fame. And this is a super short print, but I traded away a lot to get this card because Mike Moynihan had this card. So I had to get it. And, and Ray collects Hall of Fame rookie cards. So I had to get it. And so you find people on this YouTube thing that collects like you do, right? And it gets into you. And And then I started thinking about going after other collection stuff. So John Wade Boggs fan has his 100 great cards for $100 or $100,000, and I called John and I said, "Where is that list? You talk about it all the time. What was on a really early video?" So I went back and watched some of the early video, and I got the list from him. And I tell myself, I have these cards, and so there's 100 of them, and so now I had 84 of them. I remember that I had 84 of those cards that he had on his list. I wasn't a Warren Spahn collector, but guess who's going to the National to look for Warren Spahn? He's got 4 cards on that list.
Yeah.
I love Carl Yastrzemski, but I only had a handful of his cards graded. Well, guess who's going to the National to get Carl Yastrzemski cards? And that's me. And I love it. My wife bought me a poster that we picked up 30 years ago from the Met. And I had it in storage. I didn't even have it up on the wall because it was just a poster. And she didn't want a poster up in our basement where I have, our stuff. But then I got that poster out and I thought, it'd be cool to collect that poster. And there's 20 cards on there, an Ernie Banks card, a rookie, Sandy Koufax 59, that kind of stuff. Well, when I got the poster out, I needed 2 cards. And the last one I needed was this Dizzy Dean card. Okay.
Nice.
And that Dizzy Dean card is also one of the 300 great cards, hence the 2 stickers that I have up here. And so I killed 2 birds with 1 stone, and now I finished that collection. So I'm always looking for something to collect, some direction now. And that's where it's fun. That's where I'm having fun now. I'm trying to do player runs. I'm trying to finish every base card for my wife has a shirt that says I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my list. And I don't have all the baseball cards, but they're on my list. So
nice. I mean, I've seen you even then doing some pre-war with some strip cards and things. And I mean, are you trying to collect every Hall of Famer maybe, or?
Well, I've thought about it. I mean, I thought about every Hall of Famer playing days. And I think even though I got a lot of stuff going on out there, I think I want to work on, I don't have all the bearer cards graded. I don't. So right now it's more important for me to pick up a Berra playing days card than it is to pick up a Heine Manouche. Or, I have a Heine Manouche. That's a bad example. But, somebody right now, my focus is Berra and Satchel Paige I'm at the National. If I'm going to pick up a big card this time at the National, I'm taking some cards to trade, and I'm taking a little bit of cash, and I'm trying to pick up, trying to find a 48 leaf Satchel Paige. And
nice.
Yeah, but I better be drinking or something, and people better be, hey, Chris, you need to do it kind of thing. Because if I can't trade for it, that's not on my list. I can't.
That's a big expense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, you even got, I've seen in your videos where you have some pretty good stuff in other sports as well. So, I mean, you're just, how long have you been collecting like other legends? Like, I mean, I've seen you've got some pretty good cards in basketball and football. And I think you had a Gretzky as well. So,
so that I've had some football cards. Patrick Mahomes has rejuvenated Kansas City sports, just Kansas City football in general. And so I just thought, okay, and I have a bunch of his rookie cards, and I got him at a smart time when he wasn't the starter. I didn't know any better. I just kept him because he was Kansas City Chiefs, and I collect quarterbacks. So I decided I was going to collect quarterbacks all the way through, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So I'm kind of doing that,
Yeah.
but it's in a hard battle with baseball hobby money. So it has to, and then I wanted to collect the icon of every sport. So I got a Pele second year card. I just can't find myself getting a rookie card yet of soccer. I got a Andre the Giant wrestling rookie card.
Awesome.
I got a oh gosh, I had a Jim Brown rookie. I've had a couple of his over the years, but I went to the National and traded it at the National for a bigger baseball card, and then I picked one up at a really good price. But this Hal Newhouser rookie card, that let me tell you, this is how expensive that Hal Newhouser rookie card was. It took a Jim Brown rookie, it took a 56 Jackie, a 56 Koufax, a 50, and I mean it took a lot. It hurt, but that Jim Brown, he's not a quarterback, and it's an easier card for me to get out of there. But I try to get, like, I got Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods in golf. I have an Earl Anthony card in bowling.
Bowling, yeah.
I have I have a Harley Race in wrestling because he's my favorite wrestler growing up. Gosh. Yeah, so I try to get the icons of the best player in the sport. I have Muhammad Ali. I have a Muhammad Ali card, and if I could get a Muhammad Ali rookie card, I'd do it. I'll get one.
Cool. I mean,
but I have about 100 graded football cards and 100 graded basketball cards, roughly. I have one graded hockey card. So,
well, you picked a good one then.
Yeah. But that's yeah. So I dabble a little bit outside of the basketball. It was funny. I didn't take any cards down, any baseball cards down to Lake with me one weekend, and I forget what channel was on, and they were showing football cards, and I took some football cards down there to just go through to see what I had graded and stuff. So I was lucky. I actually showed some cards. I lucked into it because when they started showing football cards, I was like, oh, good, I brought some. So I didn't embarrass myself.
Nice. So, you mentioned starting out watching Ray from Philly. What finally got you to actually turn the camera on yourself?
Mike Moynihan. I met Mike. I reached out to Mike and because I viewed his channel, and I shared with him some of the cards that I had, and he was just friendly. We just became friends, and I went to the Chicago National because of him. I'd never been, and it was in 21, and then when I went there, I went to his little YouTube gathering. It wasn't little, and he gave me some shows to watch before the National, like Eric Those Back Pages and Rick Oddball Cards and John Mangini, and just a bunch of who's of the YouTube world, and they were having fun, and every one of them were nice to me. And so we go to Atlantic City, and the whole time Mike said, man, you need to show that card. I text him a picture of a card, and he goes, you need to show that card on a channel. And he said, you just talk to him like you talk to me. And so I go to the National in Atlantic City, and the gathering's even bigger. It's getting bigger, and this year he's going to have it. It's going to be double the size of it. But anyway, everybody there was super nice to me, and I was talking to everyone except Don Field of Dreams cards and stuff. But yeah, he's never nice to anybody. But no, he's not. Don's probably my best friend in the hobby. But or on YouTube. But anyway, everybody treated me good. It's just there was something just a little bit different. You could tell the fraternity part of it was just a tad bit different. They were stuck up. They weren't cliquish. And I went home, and I was talking to Mike one more time, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to do it." And he says, "You do it. I'll watch it, and I'll give you some advice. If I don't like it, I won't. I'll tell you." So almost everybody does an introductory video explaining what they collect, and so I did it. I had my camera turned the wrong way, and that kind of stuff, and I didn't know how to turn it around the other way. I just knew how to press record, and so I put it out there, and I wish I would have sent it to him first. That way I could have, I wouldn't have looked like a goober. But anyway, he calls me up and he says, your story's good. Just keep doing that, but turn your damn camera around. So I turned it where I could do it. And anyway, with his encouragement, and then he wanted to, he wanted to have me on his show. I forget to show something about vintage cards, and I don't know, it went off the rails and that kind of stuff, but it's probably his lowest watched video. But he had me on his video. And so when he had me on his video, I went from 25 to 50 subscribers. And I think I had my mom subscribe and my kids and everybody else. And nobody's watching it, and I guess I got a couple people watching it. But then anyway, he has me on a show, and I got on a show, and the next day on a show, Don Field of Dreams calls me and reaches out, gets my number from Mike, and we talked for an hour, and I haven't looked back since. I mean, I told this the other day, trying to get more people to push play, and that's I'd said this before. My wife, I have a friend whose daughter is this huge YouTube workout sensation, and my wife's a member of that and works out. And her big thing is, she just says, you don't know, you use excuses. You don't know if you got the right shoes, the right clothes. Do I have the right weights? And all she does is say, just push play. Just push play. You got to start somewhere. And that other day, I was at work, and I talked to 11 different YouTube, or got messages from 11 different YouTubers. And it makes collecting so much more fun. I get to show you a Babe Ruth strip card. You go, wow, that's awesome. I show my best friend that Babe Ruth strip card. You haven't grown up yet, kind of answer. So it just, I don't know. I just love it. Just love it.
Oh yeah, it's such a different experience talking to people and that are going through the same thing, have the same sort of feelings about these. You don't get the question of like, what's your most valuable card that you typically get from someone in the outside world.
Exactly. And you tend to gravitate toward like collectors, but you end up respecting and watching other guys' stuff. I mean, I love watching Matt and Tyrus. They focus. Hey, I got Hank Aaron, and me. I would say, don't you think you got enough Hank Aaron stuff? But when they do a video, I love it. And I say, how in the world, where did they get that? Or why in the world did they even want to get that? Or whatever. I got a buddy, STL Puckhead. He collects on a budget, and he doesn't deviate from that budget. And I like listening to how he does that. I mean, and then you do all that stuff with your videos and stuff. And I'm in awe of that. And all those little clips that you put in, and then just, I don't know. And then the collaboration videos like this, and we get groups of 4 when we rank the decades with cards. You can find something that you like and keep watching it. And there's some guys that don't do a lot of videos that I just I love it, and so I can't wait till they do a video. Diamond Yard Sports Cards one. He doesn't do a ton of videos, but when he does, wow. And then it's just I'm leaving out 100 people, so I'll have to buy some drinks or something at the National if I see them for not telling them talk. But man, it's crazy like this.
Oh yeah. And I so wish I could attend the National with you guys this year, but not in the cards.
There's a few of them though. There's a big portion of you guys that can't go this year that have become my friends, and that's going to be one. It's going to be hard for me to not to rub it in your face, but two, there's going to be a lot of people meeting face to face for the first time, and this is great. This is awesome. But that first handshake and a hug by Don when I saw him, at a show, that was great. That kind of stuff. So Chicago, you just need to make sure Chicago works for you, because you guys are never getting a National out there. So.
Oh yeah. But anything you want to show or say before we get into my list of questions? Or
I want to show, I want to show these two cards.
All right.
This is my last set. Did I show that? I haven't showed that yet, have I?
I don't think so.
Okay, and then I picked up the Red Heart set and a complete set of it. So I was pretty excited about that, and it was all graded.
Wow.
And then, that's good for a while. It's your show. You do you.
No, if you got something more you'd like to show, go for it.
I'm good.
All right. Because those last two are awesome. I mean, those are the big cards from that Red Heart set. So
right.
But meanwhile, I've got the massive George Kell card. So,
well, if I didn't have that George Kell card in this right here, that would be a massive card for me, because I'd have to have it. So, yeah.
All right, then. So let's do our 10 personal questions for Chris. If you could choose any superhero power, what would be your power of choice?
What, now or when I was a kid? When I was 17, 18 years old, I'd want to be invisible. But if I could have any, and I'm actually, my daughter and I are into these superhero stuff. So I would think flying. I think travel, or I'd want to be Iron Man and be rich, and then be able to fly and go to these shows and buy any cards that I want. How about that?
There you go. Yeah, the superpower would be like Batman or Iron Man, where you're just super rich, right?
Yeah.
You have a favorite animal? Let's exclude, the standard dog, cat, pets in your home. What's your favorite animal?
Well, my least is an otter, because I have a lake, and that otter is in my lake, and it's killing all my fish. So,
okay.
My favorite animal. Fish. There you go. Is that an animal?
Sure. I'm assuming they're for eating, though.
I do like fish and chips. I like to catch them too, though.
All right. If you had the ability to switch lives with anyone throughout history for a day, experience, what they do, who would it be?
Wow. I wish you'd have given me these first. I think somebody like Ron. I mean, this is superficial. I wish I could go back and save a life or something like that. But kind of superficial. I think I would like to be Ron Howard or somebody like that and direct a movie or be able to tell a story somehow. So something like that for a day. uh, I don't care. I don't really want to go back and, I mean, I guess I could go back and meet somebody. That'd be fun. But if I didn't go back to save somebody's life somehow, maybe something like a director of a movie, something like that, just to be able to tell a story, like a baseball story.
Cool. That's a unique answer. Well, right along with that similar vein, what is your favorite movie?
The Great Escape or The Magnificent Seven, the original Magnificent Seven, not that piece of junk they put out a few years ago. But the Great Escape is my favorite movie.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about? It's a World War II movie where it's based on a true story, but not about Americans, but we made it Americans that were in a prison camp, and they broke out and kept the Germans busy chasing them for a long time, and most of them got recaptured. But you got guys like James Coburn in there, and Steve McQueen, and James Garner, Charles Bronson. It's a who's who, and it's real well done. Similar to the bridge over the River Kwai.
Okay.
But this is it's funny, and it's good. It's my favorite movie.
Now, I have seen Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Okay. It's more funny than the bridge. It's funnier than the bridge over the River Kwai. So
all right.
Yeah.
Cool. What was your favorite subject in school?
Besides PE, history. I took every history class I possibly could. Believe it or not, my best class was home ec. You guys call it family and consumer science today. When I was 16 years old, I was sitting in the counselor's office picking my classes. And I said to her, I think I shared this story with you maybe one time. I don't know. But she said it was between a cooking class and a computers class. And I looked her straight in the eye and I said, when in the world will I ever use a computer? And so for the next 3 years, I can cook, man. I actually owned a restaurant at one time, but I could bake you a souffle, but I couldn't. This computer I'm scared of it.
All right. Well, that leads right to my next question. What's your favorite food?
Barbecue. I'm in Middle Missouri, which is close to Kansas City. Barbecue, and my favorite place to go that's not out in the country is Memphis, and I went there for music and barbecue. But I opened up a barbecue restaurant just because, and to get me out of bed. I own a company that paints and stains doors all day long, and so I got 20 workers that work for me. I got two great foremen, so there was no reason. I'd go there on Mondays, and I was just in the way, or they think I was scared. I scared them and stuff, and then I'd go there on Fridays to take them out to lunch, and so I started to do something. So I opened up a barbecue restaurant. So barbecue ribs is my favorite food.
Okay, awesome. As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I didn't raise my hand and say I wanted to own a painting company. That's for sure. As a child, I don't know. I don't quite remember. Your typical. I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to be a fireman. But when I turned 15, I knew I wanted to be a coach. We had a young coach. He was 22 years old, first job ever, moved into our town. He had a gorgeous wife, And so I just thought all basketball coaches had gorgeous wives. So, and I wanted to be just like him. And so when I was 15 years old, that's what I knew what I was going to be. And that's what I became.
Awesome. And of course, you tell your own wife, that's what happened, right, for you. So
don't get me started on this, but you opened it up. My wife is the all-time leading basketball was the all-time leading basketball scorer of the high school, my first high school that I went to. She was a sophomore in college, and I saw her picture on a wall, and I saw her stats. I asked the guy there how tall she was, because I'm short and I'm a basketball coach and I wanted me a tall kid. And this is a true story. I didn't know her at all. But I got her name. I had her name, and a person with their same last name was in my class. And she was a little short little girl. And I went up to her and I said, "Do you have a sister named Shannon?" And she said, "No, that's my cousin." And first of all, I went, whew, because I wanted a 6 foot tall girl. And she said, "Why did you want to know that?" I said, "Because I'm going to marry her." And understand this, I'm 22 years old and just moved to town, and she's 20 years old. And that night I get this phone call from Shannon, and she just chews into me, and not very polite words. "Where are you getting off telling people we're going to get married?" And then before the conversation ended, she didn't let me talk. She was yelling and cussing the whole time. And then when I said, can I ask you one thing?" And she goes, "What?" And I said, "What size is your ring finger?" And she slammed up that phone. But a year and a half later, I had her charmed into asking me out on a date. And so we've been together since then. So but our son, we adopted our son from Russia because we couldn't have any kids. And then, and of course, I wanted a 7 foot tall Russian center. But what I got is a 5'9" guy that plays 7 different musical instruments, which doesn't impress my friends, because my friends want to know how good he shoots a free throw. And then my daughter, we ended up having a daughter that the same doctor told us we couldn't have any kids, told us we were pregnant, but she was very premature. She weighed 1 pound when she was born. So today she's 24 years old, and she's about 4'6". So my basketball coaching days got over with. Somebody's trying to tell me something. So anyway, sorry about hijacking your show there with that story, but I love telling it.
No, that's awesome. Look for any opportunity to dig deeper with any of these answers. So, who's the most famous person you've ever encountered in real life?
I smoked a cigar with Jalen Rose one time. I sat at a table with Bonnie Raitt. Bob Feller, as far as baseball players go, probably the most interesting. So one of those, nobody whose bodyguard had to get me out of the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jalen Rose is awesome for, current NBA. And then, well, of course, you had Ernie Banks.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Sure. So. Yeah. Ernie Banks too. And,
yeah.
I put on some musical stuff in our town. And we've had some really fine blues acts here, as far as famous, as far as blues people go. And, but, Bonnie Raitt was probably the most famous of any of that kind of stuff that I got, that called me by my first name ever,
Yeah.
So
she got pretty big there with that, Something to Talk About song. So
yeah.
Speaking leads right into my next question. What's your favorite song?
I'm a Marshall Tucker fan. I'm a Doobie Brothers fan. Uh, my favorite song ever, though, is a blues guy by the name of Jeff Jensen, and it's called "Empty Bottles." I mean, he's a great guitarist and stuff, but that's probably my favorite song ever. Most requested song on my when I get up in the morning is "Empty Bottles." So Google plays it for me, but I'm a big Marshall Tucker fan. So,
All
love
right.
music. Love music. I want to sit down with that '70s show and talk to him about music sometime.
I'm sure that'd be a good conversation with the similar eras there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right. My last question. Now, in one of your videos, you talked about how they had chosen the 4 greatest living baseball players. Unfortunately, we lost one recently. Who would you name as the replacement on the top 4 living baseball players now?
That's a good one. Probably Mike Schmidt. Probably, Jake would want me to say Eddie Murray, but Mike Schmidt, I would have to say Mike Schmidt. Now, I don't necessarily agree with everybody they have on there. They had Willie Mays, Johnny Bench, and Sandy Koufax. I agree with Johnny Bench because he's my favorite player. And it's catching's the hardest position. So if you're the greatest at the hardest position, you need to be on some rock somewhere, And so, but I think Mike Schmidt, if they voted, I think people respect if the players that are in the hall, because I think that's where they got this. Players in the hall voted for who they think is the greatest living, and I think they respect him enough that they put him up there.
Yeah, when I was writing this question, that's the person at the top of my mind. So, but all right, that covers it, Chris. So thank you very much for participating today. It's great to have you. Get to dig a little deeper. Got some extra tidbits that I hadn't heard before.
So, whether you wanted to or not, I guess.
No, it's fun. So
since this, I just got to ask one more thing. Then,
yeah,
when am I going to be on the show again?
I
got to start now. I got to start now because it takes you 6 months to get to me, and if I start now,
well,
I like this. I like you doing this segment about other guys because you do get to know them. You get to know everybody a little bit better, and everybody gets to know everybody gets to know all the things about them and not just seeing a card. So I like it.
Oh yeah, it's loads of fun for me because these are the people I watch their channels and I want to know more. So
true.
All right. So thanks everybody for watching. Thank you very much, Chris, and everybody. I will see you next time.